Ooh, I want to take you.
That's an old song.
Sounds like a good place
Beach Boys.
to visit.
That
Sounds
could
like
be the last hit of the Beach Boys.
It is definitely the last hit of the Beach Boys.
What do you think? 80?
Cocktail, the movie.
Tom Cruise? Wait,
Tom Cruise
is the bartender?
Yeah,
I haven't seen that movie in
yeah, it's a good movie.
What?
No,
you're good at like tagging things to years. What year?
86.
86. Ryan, figure that out. 86 for Cocktail.
Cocktail, the movie.
What movie? What year?
Was it
Cocktail?
Aruba they went to in that?
No,
it was the Caribbean, obviously.
I don't know if it was. I thought they were like in Miami.
Because of this, I thought this song. What?
88.
I was right off. I was off 2 years.
You're in the Navy. You're underwater at that point.
It was a good movie though. Sounds like a nice place to visit.
I'm sure it is.
I've never been there. It's too expensive for me.
Either have I.
Yeah.
We are going to do news you can use, Mayor. We'll be right back. Whoa. That didn't work. Hold on, Ryan. Here
Turn
it is.
it off. Turn off the music so we don't get
turn
blocked.
Off the music.
Yeah.
Hold on.
So we don't get blocked. Right? Blah,
Yes.
blah, 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 blah.
Yes. Hold on. Let me get this fixing.
Come on. All right, let's just jump into news you can
use. All right,
use.
we're going to do news you can use right now. We good?
All right,
I don't know what happened.
Let's go. That's fine. Let's go. We don't.
This is news you can use for Friday, July 14th, 2017. City court closure heats up. The fight over the closing of the Hammond City Court appears to be continuing as both Governor Pence appointed City Court Judge Amy Jorgensen and Mayor McDermott traded words this week over how the transition of the court's closure would proceed. On Monday at the City Council meeting, Mayor Tom indicated that if the judge files a lawsuit, he would challenge her legitimacy to the seat as she is a St. John resident. Lake County Assessor's site shows Judge Jorgensen and her husband own a home in St. John.
Don't you have to be a resident of the city to be a city court judge?
For sure, for running.
It's the first line, isn't it? A city court judge shall live in the city.
You're supposed to be a resident.
Yeah.
So if she wants to run again.
She doesn't live in the city.
She does not live in the city.
And she says, well, I was appointed, but I think that's for a court to decide.
She said she's leasing. Judge Jorgensen has maintained she doesn't need to be a Hammond resident, but is leasing in the city.
So hold it, Kevin. If I lease a home in St. John, could I run somebody? Or could I run in St. John if I leased a home down there?
I guess it'd be, where's your residence, right?
Well, I live in Hammond, but I want to run in St. John. So I was going to lease something down there so I could run in St. John.
Be interesting.
And just be blatant about it. And I live in Hammond. No, I live in Hammond, but I lease a place in St. John, so I could run down there, right?
Well, okay, so the question would be like, are you running or versus are you qualified to hold the office, right? That's a good question. Yeah, well, you've said that you're going to let the court decide if it comes to that,
Well, the thing
right?
is, honestly, with Judge Amy, at the very beginning when she was appointed, it was a rocky period of a couple of weeks, and then her and I sat down and basically worked out a peace treaty. We said, we're going to go through this motion. This has been pending, us deciding to close down the court. Okay, we've been talking about this for a long time. We're going to go forward with this, Judge Amy. We're going to wind down the court if we pass this resolution, and we agree if you just sit back and be the judge and do your cases, we're not going to challenge your legitimacy to sit in that seat. And she was relieved at the time. This is back in when it first went down.
About a year, I don't know, maybe
January?
8 months? Yeah,
Okay.
6 months? 8
Yeah.
months.
So, we sort of shook hands and walked away, and she was relieved because at the time she thought for sure we were going to challenge her legitimacy to sit in the seat.
Well, Mayor, this is what you said earlier this week. This is a Hammond issue affecting Hammond taxpayers. We are proceeding with the transition and will do so in an efficient manner, said Mayor Tom. The judge is set to appear before the City Council on July 24th to discuss a claim from a law firm that was hired by the judge and prepared a draft complaint to sue the city over the court's closure.
Ryan just gave us top 5 things to do in Aruba. He just pulled it off the TripAdvisor.
Okay. 1.
Marriage proposals. So that's a good place to get married. Okay?
Yes.
Number 2. Guess what it is? You're looking at it.
I am looking at it. I should have guessed. I should have played like Family Feud.
Sailing. Second best thing to do. 3rd, snorkeling. Very, very
I've
nice.
never done any of those.
4, night tours. I didn't know.
What does that mean?
I don't know. But number 5 is really hard to guess. This is a big thing to do in Aruba. 50th birthday parties.
I am not going to Aruba for my 50th.
My 50th's coming up.
I would imagine I'm going to be in Hammond.
Hopefully there's a conference going or something.
It's coming soon enough. All right, so Mayor, we were talking about Judge Jorgensen and whether or not she's going to come to the City Council on July 24th to talk about a claim.
She said she was. But she said they asked, the Hammond City Council asked her to be at the last City Council meeting, but she couldn't make it.
So July 24th will be the next time she appears before the council. I was
saying it's probably a pretty long commute between St. John and Hammond. I mean, you can't just shoot back and forth real easy. So.
And this is regarding the law firm she hired from Indianapolis to sue
Ice
the
Miller,
city.
right.
Big firm.
Yeah.
Friends of the city?
Not really. Do you know who just joined Ice Miller?
No.
John Gregg.
No way. Yeah. Well, that's good. At least we have somebody there that's a friend.
Maybe we should go in there and say, hey, why are we suing McDermott and Hammond all the time?
Who was he with before? I always forget.
Was it Craig DeVault?
Yeah, so I think it was Craig DeVault. Yep. John Gregg, former Democratic gubernatorial candidate, and big on mines. He's a mining attorney.
Joe Champion.
Joe Champion, yeah. Used to be with,
we have a lot of friends down in Indy we're talking about right now. They all joined
Ice Miller.
Yeah.
Huh.
So maybe we got a chance.
And they're Democrats.
I know. So,
interesting.
Yeah.
Judge denies Bunchich motion for extensive
I don't know how I got
jury
pulled into
screening. Because you had the Facebook fight with his lawyer.
But I didn't ask. It's not like I talk about it all the time.
I agree.
I just talk about the news. I talked about the VWs last week, and we pissed off Gary. Let's be honest. That's why Popovich was just on the radio.
Do you want to correct your
statement
I said
last week? I was being exaggerating, like I usually am. I said they're parked on the runway, and the VWs are not parked on the runway. They're parked right at the end of the runway.
And they're getting revenue, I guess, for the airport.
I don't care how much revenue they're getting. I think it looks bad. I still think it looks bad, and I said it in WLTH and Gary, and about 20 callers called in and agreed with me. It doesn't look like an airport. It looks like a parking lot. No offense, Mr. Popovich. Okay? No offense, Mayor Karen. All right? I did improperly on last week's show say they were on the runway. I was exaggerating. But they're literally right there. When your plane is touching down, you're flying over VWs. It's ridiculous. Okay? So Mayor Karen unfriended me on Facebook. She was so pissed off last week.
Wasn't happy.
Oh, she called me up and she was livid.
Not happy.
Yeah, it's nice to know she's listening though. Thank you, Mayor Karen. Keep listening. We're on every Friday morning, 7:45 a.m.
Till 8:30.
Yeah.
If we have enough
Until
calls.
D-Lo,
845-11.
D-Lo kicks us off the air.
845-1100.
We're supposed to shake things up. This is what? We can't talk about news and Gary. I can't talk about the runway. We spent a couple $100 million on the airport. I want it to be successful.
Do we know a number, by the way? Did we? Because I was listening to Popovich, and I never got a number. I would like to know. But
what I'm saying is, this is not a Gary asset. This is a regional asset. Because you know why? Because the RDA, which we all put into, including the city of Hammond, right? We put in $35 million into the RDA so far.
More.
That we're part owners of this runway. We're not owners, but we want it to be successful. Because if it is successful, they're going to hire Hammond people.
I don't know one person that doesn't want the Gary Airport to be successful.
Agree, myself included. That's why I'm saying, why are we taking pennies to park VWs out there instead of staying firm and saying this is an airport? I don't care how much money the VWs are going to give us to sit out there for 2 years. This is an airport. It doesn't look like an airport if you're parking a whole bunch of cars out there, in my opinion.
Interesting thing was this week, for some reason, I don't know why, I noticed a lot of jet traffic in the air locally.
Well, it's all Boeing. You could tell. But yeah, I noticed one too.
It was just it must be on my mind. It's like there's a lot of jets flying around. But.
Okay.
All right, Mayor. This is something that you got pulled into. 845-1100, talk to Mayor Tom, by the way.
Yeah, I did get pulled into this whole bunch of...
Judge denies Bunchich motion for extensive jury screening. Federal District Court Judge James Moody this week denied Sheriff John Bunchich's motion for a more stringent process to screen jurors before the beginning of Bunchich's trial on charges of bribery set to begin later this summer. Bunchich's attorney, Brian Truitt, who has been involved in a back-and-forth pointed Facebook discussion with Mayor McDermott, filed the motion and cited the comments by the mayor on this very radio show as a reason to allow extra questioning of potential jurors. The defendant has been the victim of an endless negative campaign by the Times and Mayor Thomas McDermott.
Endless negative campaign. First off, the Times is doing their job, and I'm not one that defends the Times. Okay, they're doing their job. You can't talk about an indicted sheriff. Seriously, the guy chooses to remain sheriff, and that's his prerogative. People are going to talk about it. I hate to break it to you, Sheriff.
And I haven't seen anything where they've been anything but just kind of here's what's going on. There's a continuance.
There's nothing over the top. There's the guy's under indictment. Although I think they're talking about the sheriff more than they're talking about the mayor of Portage, but they are talking. That's
a good point.
It's fair game. He is the chief law enforcement officer facing an indictment for bribery. Okay.
Judge Moody's order indicated that the charges are not novel or complex in this case, and the fact alone that political figures are involved does not warrant a more detailed jury questionnaire. So that motion was denied. The trial's still set for August, and we'll wait to see what Mr. Truitt and you do on Facebook with each other.
I'm not really going out of my way to talk. I think the guy my opinion on Mr. Truitt, I don't know what kind of lawyer he is. I really don't, but I think he sort of likes attention. Especially on social media, I think he sort of gets off on talking about his case and his client on Facebook, and he talks about it. And then I mentioned one thing, and he files a motion, says Mayor McDermott's talking about it, and we need,
Yeah, I've never met him.
Jury.
I don't think I've ever met him.
No, I mean, I'm not saying the guy's a bad guy or a good guy. I really don't know him. I know what he looks like just by his Facebook profile. And we're Facebook friends, funny enough. I didn't realize that. But, yeah, it's not like I'm trying to remember
when it started. you guys, I think you made some comments about him, and
no, you know when it started?
He responded.
When Pensich sent out a letter to every precinct committeeman.
You're right.
Slamming me.
After.
Yeah, it was something. But he sent something, and I'm like, the nerve of this guy. The guy's under indictment. He sends out a letter just sliming me to like 1,000 people.
It was right before the chairman's race.
Right before the chairman's race.
You're right.
And I was like, are you kidding me?
Truitt got on you at Facebook saying, you shouldn't be.
But we did go postal on him, though. I remember, like, I was on fire during the radio show. I was on fire on social media, and I'm like, this guy's got some nerve. He's under indictment. And he
was taking issue with when you were chairman.
Right. Talking about how bad of a chairman I was.
And what a great chairman he was.
And he's under indictment. That's what caused the whole thing. So I talked about it. Of course. What, I can't talk about? Can't defend myself? This guy's got a lot of nerve.
And then Truitt responded to you on Facebook like you shouldn't be
you're
bringing the case up, taking the jury.
Right. It's like your client is a politician, chooses to stay in office, which is his prerogative. But, like, people are going to talk about it. I hate to break it to you, Brian.
He was going after you. Yeah. Or after he was chairman.
Yeah, what, I'm not supposed to defend myself? It's like getting punched in the face, and then you, like, go back, and they're like, oh, no, you can't hit me.
All right. Well, we're going to see what happens. The trial's set for August, too.
You know the rumor on the street. There's a plea coming eventually.
Really?
I don't know how much stock you can put into these rumors, but
not heard that.
From what I understand, and I could see, like, I could tell you from the political angle that all of the candidates for the caucus, the alleged caucus that would take place.
And Mayor, explain that. What do you mean by
well,
caucus?
If the sheriff does take a plea, he's pleading to a felony. If he does take a plea, I'd imagine.
Or if he was found guilty.
If he's found guilty in trial, then the office of sheriff would be vacated immediately, and there would be a caucus to replace the
of
sheriff.
All precinct committeemen in the county.
But
would vote.
So you have the candidates that are running in 2018. We already know pretty much who's running in 2018. But it's like a little flurry of activity going on right now.
With the precinct committeemen?
Well, no, with the candidates themselves.
Towards the precinct commitment, reaching out.
And to people like myself. And so you can tell there's renewed energy because Mayor, the trial date's coming up.
Let's run this through. So if the sheriff's acquitted, well, then what happens?
Then he serves out the rest of his term, and he's term limited out at the end of this term. So serve out.
It would still be the primary. There just wouldn't be a caucus.
Right, exactly. If he is found innocent, then he'll serve out 2018. As the sheriff, and he'll go off into the sunset after serving 2 more terms.
All right.
So,
Hammond City Council tables deportation resolution. Questioning the need for a resolution against, quote, massive deportations, end quote, the Hammond City Council.
2-paragraph.
I saw that.
Not even, it was like a 1-paragraph. Like, it was so vague. It's like, Councilman Higgs, if you're really going to try to, like, do some type of welcoming city or some type of sanctuary city ordinance, and
have some meat on the bone.
Yeah, you can't just say we're opposed to quote-unquote massive deportations.
The Hammond City Council voted to table the resolution. This resolution that was introduced by Councilman Anthony Higgs was against, quote, massive deportations, end quote, but other than saying that, didn't enact any action on the part of the city. I just don't see the purpose. Immigration is a complicated issue, said Mayor McDermott. Councilman Dave Werpel of the 5th District stated that the city receives a lot of money from the federal government and doesn't want to risk it by passing a resolution that is merely symbolic. Mayor McDermott stated that he continues to believe that Hammond is a welcoming city for all its residents and is not aware of the police department taking any steps towards seeking out deportations of its residents. All correct, Mayor?
Yeah.
You're, I think you've said this before. One of the things you love about the city is the fact that it is welcoming, it's diverse.
But, like, it's things like this. These are stunts, like political stunts. And I'm not into stunts because I don't really think it helps us in the overall scheme of things. I already piss people off enough as the mayor. I really do. I mean, seriously, like, I need to piss off the president of the United States or the federal government. We really don't need to go there because the state's already... Our
former governor.
The state is not, like, a huge fan of Mayor McDermott. I imagine the state hierarchy, the supermajority. So, like, why don't we poke a stick at the federal government as well?
The tiger,
it's like, come on, seriously?
Yeah.
We do get probably $4 million in federal funds just through our CDBG budget, not counting all the road money we get and environmental and stuff like that. It's like,
you said,
we could be jeopardizing a lot.
This really didn't have any meat on it.
None at all.
It's just like
so I'd ask questions like, what if they convicted of rape or murder or robbery? And he's just like, well, it says massive deportations. It's like, there's a lot of situations that could come up.
How do you define massive?
Yeah, massive deportations. It's like, come on. So we tabled it, and we didn't even discuss the issue. We were just like, let's stay in our lane. We got a lot of, and by the way, if we're going to get involved in, issues that we really have no control over, why don't we talk about, like I brought up,
I think
abortion.
you said like abortion
or
Second
abortion.
Amendment.
Second Amendment. Right. We just had a young man tragically killed by a falling bullet. Like, why don't we talk about guns? And, it's like we have a lot of things that we don't control that we could talk about. We just choose not to talk about it because we have no control over it. Like,
well, that and really, what action's going to be taken?
Nothing.
I mean, okay, great. It's a piece of paper.
We passed this resolution. Are we going to send it to Trump? Like, what are we going to do with this? Like, what's the purpose? The purpose is to put people on the spot. Councilman Higgs just wanted to make somebody happy. Somebody probably called him and said, hey, would you float this? And he said, yeah, I'll float that.
I mean, when do you think resolutions do actually have a good purpose? Like,
I think if they're like, if it's something, I think if first sending something to the governor, like if there's a bill pending, stuff like that.
Because it shows what the will of the city
like the governor, I think would actually say, okay, Hammond.
This is where Hammond is on the issue.
Hammond's is supportive of this issue. I think it would help, but like the president, come on, it's so ridiculous.
Right.
Let's go line 2. We got Mad Mac.
Double M.
Hey, Mad Mac, how's it going? Long time no talk.
Long time no talk. How you boys doing?
Good, man. How you doing?
Here.
Hey, by the way, Mayor Tom, I was out bike shopping. You can't believe some of the deals you can get on some really good bikes.
Yeah, where'd you go? I go to Ridge Cycle all the time.
You going getting a new one?
I always give Jeff Herrick.
Some people get second cars. Double M's getting a second bike.
I got 8 bikes in my garage hanging up right now. 8.
That's a lot of bikes.
Oh, maybe I just come over
Not all for you, though.
Most of them were for me. I have a couple road bikes, a few mountain bikes. And then, like,
it's nice when you can go and just take your choice.
Did you see? They're all hanging up now.
Yep.
Hanging upside
That's
down.
what I need. I need a rack in the garage.
It is so cool.
I got to ask
Tommy
you where you got yours.
Man, my son Tommy is so handy. I came home last night. He's changing the oil in his car.
What?
Yeah, he's underneath his car. I'm like, Tommy.
Who does that?
By the way, Tommy's 17, and I've never changed oil in my car. I'm like, why don't you just go to Jiffy Lube? It's
I'm
$30.
happy Ethan can find the gas cap.
Tommy changed the oil last night, and he did it. And so after he gets done, so he's all proud of himself. And I was proud of him too, but I didn't want to let him know that, right? So I go into the house, like after he gets done, he texts me, I did it, Dad. I'm like, cool. And I come in, I'm like, hey, Tommy, did you spill some oil in the driveway? He goes, no. And I go, yeah, Tommy, there's oil all over the driveway. And he like goes running out. It was so funny. He was so nervous. He's like, I thought it all spilled out of my car.
Mayor Tom.
Yeah. What's up, Mad Mac?
Well, I got 3 things for you real quick.
Right.
How ironic is it that you complained on the air that you had to unfriend me because I criticized Mayor Karen, and now she's unfriending you?
I should refriend you then.
Just to make the circle complete.
I did, and that's exactly what Mad Mac is exactly right. Because I was uncomfortable because
as always, thank you.
He put something up about Mayor Karen. I put a thread out, and then Mad Mac put some comment about Mayor Karen, and I'm like, God dang it, Mad Mac! Like Mayor Karen, I'm sure she looks at my site. I'm like, it's not really fair. You're putting stuff. I know she obviously does. So I blocked Mad Mac, and I told him, I was like, hey man, I got to do this because you're putting stuff that's offensive to Mayor Karen.
Yeah, I get this text that goes, yeah, listen, I had to unfriend you because you're mean to Mayor Karen. I'm like,
and then
what are you talking about?
She unfriended me.
The truth.
She unfriended me, Mad Mac.
The haircut joke might have been bad, but what are you gonna do?
She unfriended me, man. I can't believe it.
I totally believe it. People are getting killed over there. The airport's $300 million in the hole, and this is what she's concerned about.
Double M, I keep hearing you throw those numbers. I was just actually curious when you were on the line with Popovich. Where are you getting the numbers for the runway? Because I haven't heard a definitive number yet.
Glad you asked, because it came out of a Hammond Times article about 4 years ago that I moronically clipped and saved. Like I was
Who does that?
Mad Mac does.
Stop that, right? And I look back at this, and they go, yeah, the total spending so far is just a tad under $300 million.
Wow.
Of which Popovich said I think 90% came from FAA. So that leaves, what, $30 million that came from state?
Where's the FAA?
RDA?
Where do you think the FAA gets their money?
All of us, of course.
All of it.
Oh, I'm not saying we're not. I'm just saying that, it wasn't local or state. I just was trying to do the math real quick.
What do you think the Fed gets for money, Kevin?
No. What I'm saying, Double M, you're not listening to me. I'm saying that 90% was federal. I'm trying to figure out what the local or state part of the 300 was.
I'm unblocking Mad Mac.
In the bigger scheme of things, it doesn't matter. Hey,
I'm unblocking you, Mad Mac. I just don't know how to do it right now. I know how to block. I don't know how to unblock. So I'm unblocking you today because he's right.
He may not want to be part of your Facebook.
No, I think I know. Like Mad Mac is 100% right. I blocked him because of a comment I thought was derogatory towards what I said. My friend and my colleague Mayor Karen from Gary, and I told him I had to do this because I can't. You're going to put stuff up there that's derogatory towards fellow Democrats, and then I get blocked. So I'm like, hey.
All for one and one for all, right? Welcome,
Mad Mac. Welcome back to my friend list. Okay, I'm going to figure it out after the show.
Hey, one more thing real quick. I want to know if you guys can remember who gave this infamous quote regarding George Van Til. When the feds file against you, they got you. That sounds
like a Jed or or a Mayor Tom quote.
Oh, right on the money, Kevin. You just won 40 wings at
Really?
BW3.
It was both of us?
You two guys said that.
Nice.
And yet Jimmy D's on the air every day going, well, he's innocent until proven guilty.
Well, Jimmy's covering his butt. I understand why Jimmy's doing that.
Except he was with you on that.
But honestly though, we do know that when the federal, I could tell you from experience when I was an intern at the U.S. Attorney's Office, my second year of
I
law
was just
school,
going to bring up this example. You always mention this.
they never lost. And then I was asking, I'm like, do you ever lose to the U.S. attorneys? Okay, and they're like, no, we don't.
It's
ever.
rare.
They had a gentleman, his name was CB. I don't know if he's still there. Kevin, you probably do. You know who I'm talking
I
about?
know Clarence Butler.
Clarence Butler.
Hey, I got a favor to ask, man.
Hold on. This guy was like my mentor, and I loved him. And I would watch him in trial. Was like 98-0, something ridiculous. Never lost. So like, there you go, Mad Mac. I'm sorry. What were you gonna say?
Oh, can you do me a favor? I made a little cartoon about MX, and as much as he makes fun of everybody else across the region, I made a little funny about him. Cried like a baby. He won't let me back in the side.
I love it when you guys fight.
Begging me to.
You guys are like, you guys, I thank you for calling, okay? I miss you, all right? Because
I don't miss you that much.
I do miss him. Because you know what? Mad Mac brings
yeah.
the element. It's like when you listen to Howard Stern, he has his callers call in, and it's like they fight
The
with
Whack
each other.
Pack?
The Whack Pack. This is
We have
MX and
double
Mad
M.
Mac are fighting with each
Hey,
other.
by
This
the way,
is part of the show.
I do want to at least
Hey, can I get a pass for
Yes.
Festival of Lights?
oh,
Call
boy.
my office and put in a request.
Tell me
okay?
what day he's coming. I
Yeah,
want to make. Hey,
so-
Double M. One last thing
hold
before
on.
you go. I want to make sure I get my Griffith plug in. I was at a. I was at
Did you have your jersey on?
my oldest son Ethan's. They had like a soccer thing at Lake Central where a bunch of different teams played, and Griffith looks really good this year. They look good. I want to give them some props.
Cool.
So
Was it just like in the last month and a half?
this week it was Tuesday.
Oh yeah, I heard that. Yeah, they're doing pretty good. Actually.
All right.
All right.
Thanks, Double M.
Thanks. We got callers lined up, so we're going
All right.
line 3. Go, Paul. Hey, Paul. How's it going?
Yes, good morning. I just wanted to make a comment about
Sure.
the Gary Airport. I really wanted it to work, but, I understand the situation. I think I was on one of the last flights out of there. Me and Michael Opinker went to Vegas on Hooters.
Nice. Hooters Air. Like, come on.
Michael Pinker on a Hooters airline.
Yeah. There was probably a cheaper alternative,
I don't
too.
remember what year that was, but it was a fun flight. There was only like 35 people on there, and like 5 or 6 of them were Hooters.
The first time I took a Hooters Air,
I would
if
love to
did.
have had video on that
Can you
flight.
imagine if you were on an airplane with Hooters Air and it crashed?
Yeah.
They'd be like, "What airline was Mayor McDermott taking?" Hooters Air, and they're like, "What the heck is he taking Hooters Air for?" No wonder it crashed.
I want to see pictures. You got to post photos of you and O'Pinker on that flight.
I can't post them. But I wanted to thank you. Also, my son's going to be a 5th year at Purdue, and we got him going here to Purdue Calumet.
Awesome.
I guess he didn't do it in 4 years at West Lafayette, but he went down to Civic Center yesterday, and he got his T-shirts for the. I guess he's working the festival. They're giving him 2 days, and I wanted to appreciate that. Everything counts.
Thanks, I appreciate it. It's going to be a good time, and they're going to make some good money, and hopefully it's good weather the whole
And
week.
congratulations on College Bound.
All right. Well, thank you for calling, sir. We'll go to line 1. Dave from Crown Point's been waiting. Hey, Dave.
Dave, you're on.
Just for the record, the photo that Mad Mac posted on MX's pages is probably the most creative piece of artwork.
I haven't seen this one, Dave. Could you describe it? I didn't.
I'll save that for Mad Mac. I'll give him all the credit. But
Well, we got MX up next, so right after you, Dave.
I'm sure he'll talk about it.
So what's
as far
up,
as the
Dave?
airport goes, as far as the airport goes in Gary Town, let me ask you this hypothetical question.
Sure.
If that airport currently sits in a 46323 area code, is that thing more successful right now?
Good question, Dave.
I'm going to hang up and listen to your answer.
All right. I think so. Yes. I do. I mean, I hate to say it, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, okay? But I think that part of the stigma is the Gary Airport, and I think that that's a problem. I think that if it was a regional airport or a state airport, it would be better off. I do. And
Well, I mean,
from the rumor, I heard that Gary was offered like $100 million a few years ago, and it was sort of confirmed. I don't know what the exact number is, and I'm going to be honest. I don't know, but there was some talk when Pence was governor that the state was going to give Gary a bundle of money just to walk away from the airport, and they were going to make it like an Indiana regional airport. And I would have jumped all over that, because if the state would have bought in, the state would have made sure the Gary Airport was successful.
Well, it's interesting, Mayor, because number one, I think it is a regional airport, right? Isn't it considered Gary Chicago?
Yeah,
And Chicago, I don't know if they still do, but Mayor Daley used to pay every year into it. And,
they do.
One of the things...
Those are restrictions that are binding, like...
Because I think it helps Chicago versus Peatone. I think that was one of the reasons they did it, too.
Right, exactly.
And, one of the things that I remember, just think about growing up, right? The Gary Airport was just nothing growing up. I would say that at least over the last 20 years, right? I flew a flight out of there to Pan Am to Florida.
Did you?
Yeah, I took Pan Am to Florida.
I've taken private into and out of there, which is awesome.
It's very convenient.
I've flown during the air show. I flew out of there a couple times.
I just, it's just one of those things where it's one of the things that as somebody that grows up in the region and it lives in the region, it's there, you want it to do better. And it just seems like it's just...
I want it to do well. And I want Dave from Crown Point to know that. And I want Mayor Karen to know that. And Mr. Popovich and everybody that's listening. We all want the Gary Airport to be...
How do you solve it?
I want it to be like Midway. I want it to be... And if it brings a boom of financial, positives to Gary and tons of jobs, gosh, that's so wonderful because Gary badly needs it.
And it's good for the region.
But I think part of the problem, and going back to Dave's question, is I think Gary's very protective of it. And I understand why. Okay, it's like
a big asset.
It's like our water department. We're super protective of our water department, but I think that's a negative in some ways too, because maybe the state doesn't trust the Gary elected officials.
Well, we know how they trust people up here, right?
Maybe they don't want to give hundreds of millions that it's going to take to get this thing up and running. Maybe the state would be more invested in it if they thought they had more control over it. And that's where I'm going with this. Is I don't think in the current format. I don't. Great question, Dave from Crown Point. It's a tough one, but it's obvious to me that the Gary Airport's not where we wanted it to be, 2 or 3 years after the runway completion, and it needs to be better.
Well, and like this Popovich brought up today when he was on, he was saying that they need another runway to make it I didn't even know that. They need this crosswind runway, which is, runway. That's the first time I had heard that, and I'm just thinking to myself, gosh, how much is that going to cost? Yeah. And how do we get that? And how many years down the road is that?
Remember when Joe Donnelly first became senator?
Yes, 2010.
He sat down with Mayor
Karen. Wait, am I right about that?
Yeah,
2012.
2012. Sat down with Mayor Karen. Sat down with all the leaders, Pete Skoski, everybody, and they worked out all the details for the federal government, and the railroad had to move, and they did so much to get this airport running. So 2012, Kevin, and here we are. It's 2017, and it's still okay, we see a couple jets here and there, which is great, but and I don't even care if it's passenger. I don't even care if it's all private, or if it's all cargo. I don't care. I just want to see planes landing and planes taking off and jobs being created. That's what I want to see, and I think we need to put the pressure on. And my comments last week was more out of frustration. My comments about the VWs, that was out of frustration. It's come on, this isn't this isn't why we put all this money into it, to make a couple bucks off of parking cars.
The other thing that Nick Popovich brought up that I didn't know either is this whole issue about customs, getting customs there so you can get cargo. And it seems like he said, well, we're just trying to get an RFQ out. Well, let's get it moving.
Yeah, I just think, like I said, I just think, MX is coming up next, okay? What if MX went in and said, I'll give you a bunch of money at the Gary Airport if right in the middle of the runway you let me build a dirt track so that these motorcycles are jumping, and we'll pay you for it though, Gary Airport. We'll give you good money, but we want to have a motocross track out there where we're jumping and we're riding, and you're not using the land anyway, so why don't you let us do this? Now, would the airport take that money? Would they say, okay, well, we'll make a couple bucks having a motocross track out there, right? It's money. It's just not good money because it doesn't look like an airport if you have a motocross track out there.
Sounds like you're trying to give MX an idea for a...
I know, I'm sure MX said, hey, MX, how's it going? Line 4, MX. What's up, kid?
Well, we're already out there jumping and flying.
Secretly.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, that's what Mayor Karen said when me and Mac were up there. But I'm going to say, bring George Van Til back. He's cheaper. But let's go into the cartoon that Dave from Crown Point made for Mad Mac. If you could picture the Christmas Story where the kid got his tongue stuck on a pole, well, the cartoon showed more or less my tongue stuck on your keister.
Oh, really?
I didn't mind the cartoon. I thought it was funny.
That's quite a sight.
Yeah. That's interesting.
That shows you that.
See, this is
what I did.
No wonder
like
Dave
about
from
the
Crown
cartoon.
Point liked it.
Yeah. What I didn't like about the cartoon is they said I was a bigger butt smoocher than Dave from Highland, and that ain't true.
Listen, MX, the thing about you and I, honestly, I love what you do. I love looking at your stuff. But I'll be honest, I get pissed off sometimes, but I don't let you know, and I don't complain about anybody. I really don't, because I'm used to getting hit. But you're just as negative as you are positive with me, in my opinion. So
He's right to his opinion.
Yeah. And by the way, MX is a great Hammondite, a great resident.
Proponent of the city.
He is. He's a
Hessville.
That's
All right,
Hammond.
that's fine. Okay, because people in Robertsdale say the same thing. But you're a very good neighbor. You're a very good Hammond resident. And you know what? I keep that in mind all the time. And you're also part of our Kevin and my Whack Pack on the radio show. So we miss your calls and Mad Max calls and Dave from Crown Point. It's always nice when you guys are all fighting with each other. It makes our show a lot more interesting. So I just wanted to say
thanks,
thank
MX.
you. What's up? Everything else?
Well, anyways, they can come back in the group, okay? But the comment that a bigger butt smoocher from Dave from Highland got him in trouble.
Oh,
Okay,
I see the picture now. Okay, so this is the picture. You're not kissing. I'm in a dress, first off. It's a very pretty yellow dress, see, Kevin? And MX.
Nice figure.
MX is I have like a very girlish figure in this with my head, and then MX is just like leaning his head up against my butt. It's not kissing though. It's like you're just it's very comfortable.
Leaning
against me.
Dave from Highland, Crown Point made the comment that long time ago on the Larry the K show that I stick my tongue on McDermott's keister. He's not good enough of a Photoshopper to do that, but that's what they meant. But that's okay. They can come back in.
I put it on.
Thanks, MX.
I put it on the TV so that we can watch it on Facebook. Thanks for calling, MX.
All right, MX. Thank you.
I have a pretty nice body in this picture.
I see you. You're kind of staring at it.
I am. It's sort of cool.
So, Mayor, we've got Fest coming up. I mean, it's days away.
Really?
I want to before we leave the airwaves
Is
today.
Howard Stern going to sue us if we call it the Whack Pack? Everybody
Probably.
That's all right. Howard Stern. I'm a fan.
We got to come up with something better.
Yeah.
The Rat Pack.
The
Region Rat Pack.
Region
Rat Pack.
Okay.
Mayor, we're 5 days away from Fest.
Yeah.
Why don't we go real quick through the lineup?
Yeah.
And talk about what we can do to get ready for it.
So Wednesday night we're going to have Cool in the Gang, which is actually I think it's going to be a real big. It's going to be our quote unquote down show.
And disco night.
Disco night. Ryan's going to be there.
By the way, they're bringing 17 in with them. 17 people are coming in with Cool in the Gang.
Nice. That's really cool.
That's a bit. That's quite a gang.
Right.
Cool.
And by the way, Dick Diamond and the Dusters are opening that day.
It's going to be fun. Disco night.
Hey,
at the,
you know what?
The PAV.
I wanted to bring something. Dick Diamond and the Dusters and
yes,
Dick Diamond and the Dusters are playing today at the tonight in City Hall, and also the Spaniels Forever are playing tonight in City Hall 2:00 on Facebook Live. So if you're interested in watching. The Spaniels will be going on right around 2:00, and Dick Diamond and the Dusters will be going on right around 3:00.
So watch Facebook Live. Go Ham and Facebook Live.
Yeah, it'll be on Twitter Live. It'll be on Go Ham. It'll be on mine. So if you want to see a live City Hall concert,
so Dick Diamond next week on Wednesday with Cool in the Gang.
Thursday we're having Bush, and the Crop Puppies are opening for Bush. Crop Puppies did a City Hall concert last week. Friday we have the golf outing. During the day, and then Friday night we have Limp Bizkit with their opener.
They're bringing an opener in.
They're bringing an opener. Mm-hmm. Saturday we have the 5K in the morning. We have the fishing derby in the morning. We have Special Persons Day. We have all that stuff going on during the day, and then that night we have Lip Tack opening for Twista, opening for Flow Rider.
Going to be a great night,
which is crazy. Sunday we have the Hot Rod Custom Car Show. We have Polkamania out at the Marina. And we also have a big night with Latin Night with Intocable and multiple bands.
Bringing them all.
Family, and Sunday is the family friendly. Sunday is a big family day.
Beer tent. We've got 18th Street Byway, Three Floyds.
Our biggest problem on Sunday will be when we want to shut down. Nobody ever wants the party to end on Sunday.
That's right.
It's a big Sunday night problem every year.
We're hoping for good weather.
Yeah.
$25 to park.
Yep.
festivallakes.com. Get all your stuff on there. VIP experience while you can. Mayor Tom.
And to the family of Noah Inman, I just want to say that was the most heartbreaking visitation I had yesterday. It was, I know it's a bad way to end the show, but it was a tragedy. It was a fluke. We're going to miss him. And I just want to say God bless the family. And I really hope that, you guys find your way through this period of time. I know it's got to be rough. So,
a lot of outpouring of support by the city and the community.
So anyway, thanks for co-hosting again with me, Kev. I'm going to post this. And thanks to all the callers and listeners. And thanks to Ryan and Jimmy for helping us produce the show.
All right, this has been programming paid for by the committee to re-elect Mayor Thomas M. McDermott Jr. This is AM 1230 and FM 104.7 WJZM.